Okay. Well, welcome everyone to our executive peer community and our MIFGOSH online series. If you haven't already, rename yourselves with your name, JCC, and pronouns if you wish. It is World Wish Day, so feel free to share a wish for yourself or somebody else or someone in your community in the chat. We're so excited to host this series, MIFGOSH Online, for executives and JCC professionals, execs, invite to the session. To frame our series and this session, I invite our executive host, Denise Wolf, Executive Director of the Youngstown JCC in Youngstown, Ohio, to have the floor.
So welcome, everyone. It's great to be here and see everyone. Most of us were on the call last week. And for those of you who were not, this is the MIFGOSH online series, which builds momentum and insights from MIFGOSH 2025 and is designed to allow executives and staff members to continue to develop the skills and strengthen connections across our movement. We are kicking off a sessions, most popular at MIFGOSH this year, offering those who attended different sessions for a chance to hear different sessions, ones they missed, while also inviting those who couldn't attend in Baltimore to join the conversation. For today and throughout the series, we hope our time together reinforces key insights for you, fosters peer networking, supports leadership, equipping you with actionable tools and resources, and coaching to effectively implement strategies and initiatives to help your JCC thrive. So today we're pleased to welcome back Diane Devaney and Casey Boccia from Devaney and Associates to present part 2 of the Marketing Renaissance, how to reimagine and revitalize your JCC's growth strategy. From changing demographics to both specialized and big box gyms, JCCs face more competition than ever before. How is your JCC going to stay ahead? Our time together will help us unlock the fundamentals necessary to revitalize our JCC's marketing strategy and re-energize your staff and member base for 2025 and beyond. Today's hour will be focused on creating a zero-waste media strategy. So we invite you to post questions in the chat or raise your virtual hand. We are also budgeting time towards the end for questions and answers and discussion. So now it's my pleasure to turn the floor over to Diane and Casey.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Diane Devaney. We have Casey Boccia with us. And we are going to share the second half of our presentation. And I will kind of bring you up to speed on what the first half is too. So let me start sharing. Okay, great. Okay, as Denise mentioned, we presented this earlier this year at MIFGOSH in person, and we're excited to have the opportunity to share it with everybody, virtually. Casey did the first half, I'm doing the second half. And the one thing that we want to explain, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview about what Casey presented last week, in case you last week, in case you weren't there. So we truly believe that marketing solves your business problems, okay, and your business challenges. That's one of the values of our agency here and our mission, to help businesses solve their challenges. But we also believe that you have to achieve the right balance. And what we mean by that is, first, we have the art part, which is the emotionally compelling brand message. And that's what Casey shared last week in detail. And I'll do an overview. Then we have the science part that I'm going to present today. And we have a strategy of a zero waste media strategy that we find very, very effective for our clients. And I'm going to go into a lot of detail on that. But to kind of show you what gets us up to the strategy part. So I'm going to refer a lot to the JCC. I'm referring to the JCC of Greater Baltimore. We're located outside of Baltimore, and we've worked with them for over 5 years now. We also work with several other JCCs, but when I keep saying JCC, more. So we started working with them after the pandemic, and our first charge was to create a campaign for sports and wellness. And their real goal was to increase memberships, and they wanted to increase participation from everybody in the community. They wanted to go outside of just the Jewish community. And so we created our good fit campaign for them. That worked, it gave you that, it spoke to everybody that could visit the JCC, and we did digital display ads. See, we did do direct mail, traditional direct mail. We did social media that all came together. We did do print ads, and we'll talk a lot about, the pros and cons of print ads. And always our campaigns end with a landing page. We always want to have strong calls to action. We want to direct them. And this Good Fit campaign, I'm going to do a case study on a particular part of time when it launched. But this campaign ran for over 3 years. It was just recently replaced. It was an extremely effective campaign. It made people feel welcome. It had the compelling calls to action. It was very consistent throughout. And so that was the art part of our campaign, okay? And now we're going to talk about the science. And we're going to talk about that now that we have a compelling brand message, how do we get it out in the world, okay? What is the data-driven zero waste media strategy? And it's more than just a direct mail piece. It's more than just advertising in traditional Jewish publications. We're going to talk about how everybody can just have this incredible strategy that's going to do more for you than ever before. So marketing is not just the art of like finding clever ways to dispose. Phil Kotler, he's a world-renowned marketing strategist, and that's really what we're talking about here. And I know some C-level, some of your, some organizations, they just consider like marketing a line item on a budget, or that they see it as an expense. And we're going to really share the ways that it's going to be more than that. We're going to share the science of marketing. Okay, it's going to show you how to reach the right people. It's all about reaching them with zero waste data-driven strategy. So what is zero waste data-driven strategy? Okay, it's a data-driven, hyper-focused approach to make sure your advertising only appears where your audience is. Okay. Okay. We're going to start by what is not zero waste. Okay. And what is not zero waste is traditional media. Okay. Traditional television, you're going to just buy a 30-second ad on an NBC or a CBS affiliate that has, let's say, 1 million viewers. But how many of those viewers are actually going to be able to come to your JCC? How many are even in a close enough proximity to where you're located? So when you do traditional television, you're sending a lot of messages out to eyeballs and to people who aren't even in the market for what you're marketing, or in the area for what you're marketing. Same with traditional radio, which tends to be very like a easy listening station, or a rock station, or a sports station. I mean, to market the services of the JCC on a rock station, well, yeah, you probably have a couple listeners. It would really be more suited to promote like a rock concert or a festival or something like that. Again, you're getting a lot of waste. Traditional print, the same thing, you're getting only the people that are going to pick up that magazine once. And same with traditional billboards, bus shelters, and things like that. So traditional media provides a great deal of waste when it comes to advertising. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the data. And we're going to try to show you that it's not that complicated, that every single one of you have a way to at least get started in this, and that there's some basics and some easy things that you can do. All right, so we're going to go step by step through what it takes to create the zero waste media strategy. And number one is to zero in on your budget. Now, you all know, how much of hopefully you all know what your budget is, okay? And you want to make sure that you don't just take your budget and divide it by the 12 months in a year. You want to allocate it around times of the year that are your busiest. And the data points you want to look at are seasonality. This is not at all the same for all JCCs. It's different for different areas of the country. It's different for different, areas that you want to emphasize. So for for our JCC, we really looked at for sports and wellness, the busiest time of the year is January. Everybody makes New Year's resolutions, all of that. So what we did is we knew that January was going to be our biggest month for enrollments, but everybody needs to see an advertising message 3 to 7 times before they're actually going to even read it. It's another reason why when it comes to timing of a media campaign, you always want to send out your direct mail when your awareness is at the highest, okay? So we wanted to start letting people know that we were having a new campaign, remind them that, they want to gear up to join the J. We start in September and October, and we only use about 10% of our campaign in both of those months. Then in November and December, we begin to increase the messaging. And then we do our most amount of messaging in January. We always want our direct mail to hit right like the day after Christmas if we can time it perfectly, so that people are just like in that time off, doing things with their family, thinking, oh, I got this card from the J. I remember seeing ads. I really want to go. So every campaign, depending on who you're targeting and what it is you're marketing, is the seasonality to it. And so you customize all of your campaigns by budget and how you want to spend the money. So then the second thing that you need to do to create a zero waste media strategy is you've got to target on zero in on your target audiences. Okay. And these are questions that you know the answers to, or you can ask your team. They're not difficult data points. We want to know who we're talking to. We want to talk about the age ranges. Then we want to talk about some of their traits, because when we talk about the type of advertising we're going to recommend, we can always find people by what they're interested in and what their traits are and whether they have children or whether they're empty nesters. We do care about the household income because we're trying to get them to make a purchase, and then where they are in location to where we're trying to drive them. So we always do want to look at all of the zip codes. So all of these data points are accessible to you. You just need to take the time to build it. Okay. So this would be our data sets that we have for sports and wellness, for gearing up for, a big push for memberships to the JCC. And we had 2 different targets. We had parents. Okay. So ages 30 to 49, interested in fitness. It didn't, they're parents and young adults. We weren't specifically drilling down. We wanted people that would join the J for themselves, for their kids. We did determine that a 10-mile radius gave us enough people that we had an audience to cover, but it wasn't too far that they wouldn't drive for fitness classes and for, swimming lessons. And we also targeted, we're definitely doing older adults now. We're not trying to do necessarily the seniors only. We want people who are empty nesters. Their kids are off to college, or, they have the time. They're far enough in their career where they're not, working crazy hours, and they have the time to come to the J for fitness. They have an interest in fitness. They have the income to afford it, and they're close enough. So these are the general things that we cover. And then we drill down in zip codes. All of you are very familiar with the areas you're in. You know the zip codes that are sort of your sweet spots. For this campaign, we specifically were expanding to increase more people that were not necessarily Jewish. So we did pick some zip codes that maybe at the time our JCC hadn't used before. So then we want to show you how you can target these audience for other areas too. Our camps, we do want to get people that have children, ages, that are old enough to go into camp. Again, we're looking at the $100,000 household income in a 10-mile radius. For our aquatics program, we actually drilled down to a younger age of children because they can enter those classes at a younger age. And then the Gordon Center is our art center. It's where we have all of our musicals and our concerts. For those, we needed a little bit of an older age set because we wanted, they can be parents, but we wanted not to have to deal with getting a babysitter and all of that. We wanted parents and empty nesters and seniors. And for these particular concerts, we were targeting music fans. We did drop our household income. While, you know, it costs money to go for a ticket, it's more in a one-time event. And we did way increase our mile radius because we know people will travel and it's a destination will travel. So everything that you market at the JCCs should be broken into these different target audience sets. So once you have, you've talked about your budget and your timing, and you've talked about your target audience, it's time to look at your media tactics, okay? So what are the tactics that we want to use to reach our targets as precisely as possible, not the old traditional media that we've been doing for years and years. We really want to look at all of these new targets. And part of all of the strategy is learning and understanding these targets. So we're going to go through and sort of define them all. So cross-platform display. Okay, this means you're running banner ads. Okay, you're running cross-platform means they're going to show up on your target's desktop. They're going to show up on their mobile phone. They're going to show up on their tablet. Okay, so you want to go over any type of digital like any type of digital machine that they're using. So, and also the one thing about cross-platform, and we'll share with you, you can go to those traditional medias like the print and the television, and they all have a digital platform. And that's what we want to be on. We want to be on the digital platform because everything we're going to show you right now is 100% trackable. And you're going to know your ROI. You're going to be able to test, A/B test different ad sets or different voices. And it's a very nimble medium. So you get immediate results. So you can go ahead and you can tweak your campaign as it runs. So we start with the not traditional, display advertising on cross-platform. Then we want OTT and CTV. Okay, this is over-the-top television. This is not your NBC and ABC, okay, which was the spray and pray method. We just put it out there, okay? These are very, very precise television streaming services that instead of targeting, traditionally you would buy a television show and you would hope that everybody is watching 60 Minutes, okay? Now what we're doing is we're buying the audience, okay? We're actually buying by our target market, okay? And these are the, the Hulus and the Rokus and, the HBOs and the Netflix. And these are also the ABC.com and the NBC.com and everything. So now everybody has this technology on their television and it captures all of this data. Then we move on to audio. Okay, this is not like traditional radio. This is, again, streaming audio. It's the satellite radio. It's the Spotify. It's the Pandora. I mean, even an iHeartRadio has an app, and this would be the app form of an iHeartRadio. So again, you're buying the person. You're not buying the program or the genre or anything like that. Okay. Then we have geo-targeting and geofencing. So geo-targeting allows you to digitally target precise zip codes that you want, okay? And you want to go after people who are in your age, in your demographics, in those zip codes. And with geo-targeting, we can take your email address, your list of addresses that you direct mail to, and you can load them into your geo-targeting. So because you know that a family is going to get a postcard to promote all the specials you have at the end of the year and beginning of the year for sports and fitness, we're also going to reach out to them through geo-targeting and serve them digital ads. If we're targeting for the Early Learning Child Center and we have a direct mail going on that, those parents are also getting targeted digitally as well as they're getting the direct mail piece. So geo-targeting is key to reaching the people you're trying to reach. Now, geofencing is just putting a big net around, you can do 1 mile, 2 mile, 5 miles. It can be around your JCC, or let's say you have a Planet Fitness, like a little, down the road, you can geofence your competitors, or camps, competitors, daycare centers, anything you want to get the people that are going in and out of that location to get your message through geofencing. And then lastly, there is retargeting. So that is anybody that goes to your website, clicks on your ad, or anybody that has any interaction with your ads and your website, they get served ads. Again, to remind them, oh, you came to the website, but maybe you didn't sign up. So you can determine if you want to send them ads for 3 times, or you want to send them 7 ads, or you can determine what ad set you want to set them. So the key thing here is that we're buying impressions. How many eyeballs are going to see each of these tactics, and making sure that we're reaching exactly the target that we want to reach. Now, that's a lot of information. It's really, can be very complicated. So feel free to ask questions or whatever, but I'm going to illustrate to you how we do this type of a plan and how this works. So. Okay, so for the Jewish community centers in Baltimore, we have 2 locations. We have Park Heights, which is closer to the city, and that's where we also, it's customized to the Orthodox population, but everyone is welcome there. And then we have a larger Jewish community center more out in the suburbs that again is welcome for everybody. So what we have to do a lot of times is we have to buy ads for each of these. And I hope you guys can see that this total amount of impressions is 600,000, because it doesn't show that on my screen, but hopefully. So again, we're buying impressions. So for this location, we're buying 600 impressions. And the targeting that we're doing here is, first we're targeting people on mobile display, and we're targeting people that fit our demographic here on their mobile device with banner ads. Then we're actually then again targeting them through geofencing. You know, we're doing a 5-mile radius around the JCC, and we're going to appear on all of their devices. Then, I mean, we do find that, and we also have data to back this up further on, that women do a lot of times make the decision to join the JCC or enroll it for their kids. So we also targeted women, and we target them also by behavior. We target them for fitness. We target them for, you know, being in mom groups and things like that. So all of this combined would deliver 600 impressions. This was a 2-month long campaign. And then you can see for our other location, we also targeted a 5-mile radius there. We targeted the same, we geofenced the location. We actually also, you know, included our mailing list. And so this was one segment where we each reached 600,000 impressions for each location. Then we did target both locations together on Jewish publication and community sites, delivering over 1 million impressions. And you can see how the pricing, I mean, we're buying eyeballs, okay? We're not buying a 30-second spot. So again, you know, we targeted people that were, we had a list of approved keywords such as fitness near me, membership, after school programs, things like that. We built a mobile targeting list here. We also, you know, did our site retargeting on this as well. So again, these were when we were marketing both locations together. Then we did run advertising on traditional Jewish websites, the jewishlife.com, the Jewish Times. J More is a lovely magazine that we have here. And also, now you can see we're delivering a lot less impressions, only 10,000 impressions for a substantial budget. But we are committed to our local publications. We're committed to our Jewish publications, our Jewish digital, you know, so that's still an important part of the campaign. It's just not all of it anymore. We did do also some print, again, committing to the Jewish publications and some of our local publications. You know, impressions, it's hard to measure again. And just because we're getting an impression in print doesn't mean somebody's actually seeing that ad. But it's all about having a whole well-rounded campaign that shows, you know, all of it working together. All of this ran for 2 months. So it all worked together with, again, our direct mail hitting towards the end of the campaign. So if you look at the comparison here, like we do want to include print. But I mean, we didn't allot a substantial part of the budget to print. We got a lot less impressions. And if you look at the cost, we only got 8 impressions per dollar spending it on print with more general targeting, as opposed to we got 139 impressions per dollar spent with the precise targeting. So we don't, but again, as I mentioned, we're still committed to the print. We're committed to the organizations that produce the print magazines. We do think there's value in print, but we, you know, we definitely want to spend the 2/3 of our budget on digital with only the 1/3 of our budget on print.
Diane?
Yes.
There was a couple questions that came up and I thought maybe we can answer them now. Someone asked about, specifically the geo-targeted, asking where are we running these through? Is this, Google or Meta, or are you using an outside agency to find the channels?
It's an outside agency. It's like you buy, like when you buy television, you go to the TV station, there are lots and lots of companies that sell digital products. We buy some of them through the Reach Local contract that a lot of the JCCs are involved in, but we find they can, because there was one slide on what we bought through Reach Local. Everything else was bought through one of our partners that we work with that, we buy a lot of digital advertising for lots of clients, so we have some really trusted partners that we know do an excellent job. There is a lot out there. Media, I will tell you right now, is 100% negotiable. Okay, it is all in understanding what the market will bear. The more you buy, like, because obviously we buy for many clients, the more we have sort of bigger buying power. That's why, you know, the JCCs all coming together and going through Reach Local, you good deals and good things through that. So, but it's through a digital media company that sells all of this. We do social media advertising through Meta. We do Google AdWords. There weren't any included in this campaign though.
Great. And then a few slides back, you talked about identifying mobile numbers. How are you doing this? Are these just people who are already engaged?
No, it's all done through their IP address. So we don't actually know their phone number. We serve them an ad through their IP address. If they meet, you know, the target, if they're a mom and they're, you know, 40 years old and they have a household income and they're in our zip codes, they're going to get served our ad. It is so sophisticated. So in the Washington, D.C. market, we handle a lot of transportation. And there was a bridge going under construction. And every time you went over the bridge, you got one of our digital ads. If your IP address was in the state of Maryland, because our client was the Maryland Department of Transportation, you continued to get our ads. So it is all through that IP address that's registered to a person, and their data profile is what we're buying. We're buying that person with that IP address. We never have their phone numbers. And when we put the mailing list in, we're buying the people at the location of that house. So anybody with a digital footprint at the location of the mailing list, we could accidentally get grandma if she lives at the house, and we could accidentally get a 16-year-old who lives at the house because we're buying the location. So.
And then the last question before you move on, do you have the conversion stats off this campaign that you just showed us?
Yes, at the end. Mm-hmm. All right, great. Then I will keep going. Okay. So how do we measure if this is actually working? Okay. So we measure it again, the beauty of digital. I mean, our company is 34 years old. I've run tons of television campaigns. We've run tons of print campaigns. And it really was, you spray and you pray and you hope that your call to action and your offer strong enough. And, you know, you sold this many cars this weekend, or you had this many people, call up and make reservations at your restaurant, or you sold this many gym memberships. This way we know exactly how many people are getting the ad and exactly how many people are clicking on them. So, we want to look click-through rates, how many people are gonna click on the ad. And then if we're serving any kind of 15 or 30-second audio or video ad, how many watch it all the way through? And then how many people actually take action and click that goes to the website or goes to the landing page or they call. And so we did A/B test this campaign for the audio component. Okay. And so we wanted to test a female voice versus a male voice, and we wanted to test a 15-second versus a 30-second commercial. And I mean, definitely the shorter commercials are better. They have stronger completion rates, but also the female tested a lot higher on the short commercials. If you go from, I mean, it is interesting that it's a whole 4 points from female 15 to 30. But when you're talking about, eyeballs, and I mean, even that many points, we had very, very strong completion rates, which is good. And this is the kind of thing you can measure. You can be in market for a week and have this data and you can tweak it. You could pull your male 30-second and just do your female 30 seconds, or you could pull all your 30s and go to 15s. So you're again optimizing as the campaign goes on to get the very, very best results possible. So the results are that if you do it the art correctly and you do the science really well, then you're going to get growth. So let's talk about the results of this campaign. So this was, only the time period, it was a 2-month campaign. What we looked at is to the website, total users to the website before the campaign, new users, the number of sessions, and then the page views. Okay. So we had a change of, let's see. All right. We were really happy with our results. So total users, we got 31, almost 32% more total users. And then new users, people who hadn't been to the site before at all, was 35%. We increased our number of sessions by 27%. And then we increased the page views by 20%. So we had a huge increase in the amount of people, how long they stayed on the site, how many times they came back to the site. So this is the ROI that you can share with, a marketing department can share with any CEO to show that the campaign really is working and it's worth the investment and time. So how did we do with memberships? Okay. So our goal was to get 182 new memberships, and we actually exceeded our goal, and during that time period to 240 new memberships, which was 132% return. So, and then the one thing, because this was definitely our goal for our campaign, was to increase diversity. So before our campaign, 40% of the members were non-Jewish, and we did increase that by 5%. We also were, a lot of agencies win a lot of awards. We only enter awards that are based on results, not just creative. And so this campaign won the campaign of the year from the American Marketing Association in Baltimore, which is to say a lot, because we were up against the National Aquarium and really, big competition in our market. So we really were proud of this. Also, the fact that they kept the campaign for 3 years, the amount of time and effort and money that it saved to not redo creative all the time and to have that strong consistency and that strong brand. So what were the secrets to our success? I mean, for the science, you've got to gather your basic data points. Don't let data scare you. Everybody has a place to start. Okay. Then understand all of these new different advertising technologies, and new ones come out all the time. But understand that, that you want to buy things with no waste. You don't want to reach people in a county that you can't even, that aren't going to come to visit your JCC. You don't want to reach people who aren't interested in your arts and music programming. You don't want to reach people for early childhood learning that don't have kids, okay? And you've got to be flexible. We're very blessed because we have a lot of clients that let us test different technologies and different creative. There's nothing wrong with like A/B testing with colors and voice and messaging and calls to action, because it's the best way to get better at it. And as long as you're clear on, we're testing this, we're collecting the data, we're going to make assessments afterwards, it can really be an effective use of your time and money. And then as Casey went through, I'll recap some of her for the art. I mean, when you're creating the messaging, all good brands are built from within. Okay. Nobody knows your JCC better than you do, and the people that frequent it. And also some of your partners. Think of who refers people to come, who refers people to the camps, who refers people to the early childhood. Involve your staff into the brand building process. You're going to get better insights, and they're going to be invested in the messaging. Okay. Then study what your competitors are doing. You want to avoid things, we call it brand parity. If somebody's saying the same thing, what are the things that set you apart? Do you have different types of classes? Are you offering different types of camps? Maybe you've just added some programming for classes, and so look at what sets you apart, study what your competitors are doing, don't do the same thing. It is important once you launch a campaign that you do create sort of a messaging guide and make sure everybody's sort of speaking the same language. You want to make sure that your team at the front desk knows if somebody comes in and says they want to take that new class, that they know, oh, that's down in this center, or, oh, I didn't realize we were had that swimming class going. Or I didn't realize that we were growing, our early childhood center, and we have a lot of tours coming through. So let them know what you're advertising, let them know what the calls to action are, let them know how you're positioning. Ideally, when you have a campaign going, when we did the whole Right Fit campaign, I mean, we had posters everywhere, we had flags in the parking lot. You want to make the whole entire community feel like part of the campaign. And then, you got to show your passion and commitment. This only works if leadership sort of evangelizes it often and early. And I mean, we've been very blessed. All of our CEOs and our JCCs have really embraced the messaging that we've put out and the excitement that we've created. And the leaders of the departments have, added giveaways that go along with our campaign and been excited and created games that match the creative. So we've been really lucky that we've been embraced by all the leaders. So that is who we are, and we appreciate the opportunity. And so
excellent. If you haven't already, I invite you to place questions in the chat, or simply unmute and raise your virtual hand and we'll call on you. Any questions? I actually have, oh, go ahead.
Oh, Diane, I was just going to let you know there is a question in the chat from Janine about the impressions that we showed in our media charts. Do the numbers reflect the number of delivered impressions? My understanding is that most cell phone users have their notifications turned off and will not receive geofencing ads. So do you want to dispel that myth?
Maybe people have their notifications turned off, but we get a lot of impressions completed via mobile. I mean, think almost if you do any kind of retail situation, I mean, people are buying via their phone more than any I don't know how they do it. I'm terrible at it, but so they're still going to get served ads, because they're going to get served ads when they're on the internet buying something. An ad's going to pop up there. It's not just about their notifications. But all of the impressions are actual delivered impressions. And I am telling you, every single time we over deliver on our impressions. Sometimes there's just more inventory out there than they thought available. And that's why you need to be monitoring the campaign every week. and, you know, say, I'm worried about our impressions, and then they'll boost it. So, but, it's all delivered impressions, and people still get them on their cell phone. As long as they go on the internet, they're getting our ads.
Actually have a question. You had talked about, study your competitive brands. And avoid, or identify cliches to avoid. What happens if your competitor locally is copying you? And like, we put something out there and then they put the exact same thing out there. And like, this has happened several times, I've noticed lately. So what do you do then?
Casey, do you want to comment on this? Since
That actually happened to the JCC of Greater Baltimore with our Good Fit campaign. A competitor that we considered a peer and not so much a rival basically did exactly what you just said, Denise. And that is what triggered us to have to launch a whole new campaign this spring. So it was unfortunate. I don't know, for some of our clients, when it comes to branding, we recommend, for example, taglines, you can trademark them. You do a quick search on the US Patent and Trademark Office trademark database. If it looks like it can clear, you get your attorney to file an application. It costs a few $100 and it's yours until you let it expire. So you can take that route if it's becoming a bad habit in your community with your competitors. That's one option.
Good questions.
I'm curious if anyone wants to share any experiences from their JCCs, dabbing into any of these practices that Diane has shared this week or Casey last week. Any challenges that you found, any benefits that you found, or if this is all new. Further questions? Anyone want to take the floor? Jennifer.
Hi, I hope you guys can hear me. I'm Jennifer Giaccone. I'm here from Boca Raton, Florida, from the Adolph and Rose Levis Jewish Community Center. And I wrote in the chat, supporting what Diane said, we came to Reach Local through the JCCA probably close to 10 years now, maybe a little more. And it was very hard to introduce that to our department heads and our key leadership. It was a hard sell at the time. But they eventually agreed to let me go forward with it. And it has been an incredible, incredible tool for us. And we're now at the point where when we plan advertising and marketing strategy throughout the year, that our department heads and our program directors wouldn't imagine not doing it. So it's really been a good tool. And as Diane mentioned, they are extremely flexible on their pricing. So it's really easy to make a good case for why people should invest with them. And I think another thing that they do really well is offer us a dashboard where we can track our results and then therefore share them with our constituents and make sure that they're seeing the value of putting their dollars into digital marketing. So it's really a worthwhile tool to explore.
And they'll help you. They'll help educate you. They've been very nice to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been really helpful in terms of like onboarding when you don't know anything. It's oh, I see someone said they had a horrible experience, so maybe they can comment on that, but we've been really happy with them. So
Well, we are the liaison with Reach Local between the JCC. Like we took over and maybe because we understand, maybe you could definitely find a media person in your area that you could have them kind of set up the framework. And I think once they know that somebody there really understands it, they're going to be a little bit maybe better in your market. The other thing we test all the time is ad sizes. You saw on those charts, there's like this deep of ad sizes. And I mean, it's expensive to have all that art created. And so if we know certain ad sizes are working better than others, we'll only buy those ad sizes as well.
Quick questions or thoughts?
Well, I practiced this so many times and I was so much over that I can't believe that
Well, that's okay.
Everybody will get a little time back in their day.
Exactly. So if there's no questions, I just really want to thank Casey and Diane for your very insightful and compelling presentations, and to everyone for joining us in the CEO ED peer community. So we invite you to join us for our May sessions in this MIFGOSH online series. The next one is on data and decision making, featuring a reprised discussion on the surge in Jewish life following October 7th with Mimi Kravitz of the Jewish Federation of North America on May 14th, and new learning with Dr. Alex Pomson of ROSOV Consulting on May 28th, featuring new research on family engagement and implications for JCCs. An important note on Mimi's session, she'll be presenting updated data from March 2025 on engagement in Jewish community. So there will be new information and analysis than what was presented in Baltimore, so you don't want to miss that. Registration links are in the chat and can be found on the JCC Resource Center CEO ED peer community page as well. So I thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.